Okay, so today we're going to deconstruct an ad concept that pretty much breaks every single rule in the book. It's for this imaginary brand, BurroAire. And honestly, its strategy is so simple and so confident that it kind of forces you to rethink what makes an ad work at all. So let's dig in and see how less can be so much more.
So the ad kicks off with just two words, not fancy. I mean, think about that for a second. There are no beautiful people, no epic music. It just immediately tells you what it isn't. It's such a brilliant hook because it lowers your defenses and makes you wonder, okay, so what is it then? And then the very next line just doubles down on this negative idea, not fast. In a world that is completely obsessed with speed and efficiency, hearing that in an ad is almost shocking. The curiosity is really building now, right? It's not fancy and it's not fast. What on earth are they trying to sell us?
So, right after telling you everything it's not, the ad finally gives you its one single powerful promise. Just shows up. In just 3 incredibly short lines, a whole identity has been created. It's not glamorous, it's not a speed demon, but it is 100% dependable.
And this right here brings us to the big question. At first glance, this seems like a terrible ad, right? Almost like marketing malpractice. But there is an absolutely brilliant strategy at play here. Let's solve this puzzle together.
First up, we really need to get our heads around this strategy of leading with weakness. It seems totally backwards, doesn't it? I mean, why would any brand ever introduce itself by pointing out its own limitations? Well, the answer is in this really powerful, kind of counterintuitive technique. It's called the anti-ad approach. So instead of shouting about being the best, the fastest, or the most revolutionary, you do the exact opposite. You're quiet, you're honest, you're direct. And in a world that is just flooded with noise and hype, this kind of radical honesty just cuts right through it all and builds immediate trust with a very specific kind of customer. Okay, now let's talk about the mascot, because honestly, the entire concept hinges on this one single perfect metaphor, the burro, or the donkey. That name, BurroAire, is absolutely not an accident. It is the key that unlocks this entire brand identity. And yeah, it's a fair question. At first, the connection seems kind of random. But when you stop and think about the symbolism of a donkey, you realize it's an absolute stroke of genius. A donkey isn't known for being beautiful or fast, right? It's known for its endurance, its reliability, and its steady, uncomplaining work ethic. This comparison here just captures that strategic choice perfectly. Most brands, they try to be the racehorse, fast, exciting, a little bit fragile. But Burro, they deliberately choose to be the burro. They're positioning themselves as steady, reliable, and low maintenance. They're turning this slow, unglamorous nature of the donkey into their single greatest asset. Now, this whole burro identity is backed up by the ad copy itself, which makes it super clear what this product is, and just as importantly, what it isn't. Let's take a look at that contrast. All right, first, here's what BurroAire is. Just notice how simple and direct this is. Economy filter bags, everyday dust collection. These aren't exciting, over-the-top promises, they're functional descriptions. It's a tool that just does the job. This is language that speaks directly to a professional who just needs something that works, period. And then, boom, they immediately define what it isn't. No hype, no overpromising, no drama. By saying this so explicitly, they're managing expectations and building some serious credibility. They're basically looking their customer in the eye and saying, we know you're tired of being sold a fantasy. We're not going to do that to you. So you've got this honest tone, you've got the donkey metaphor, you've got this is versus isn't framing, and it all comes together beautifully in the brand's core philosophy, all packed into one simple, powerful tagline. And there it is, built to work, not to wow. That is the entire brand promise in 7 words. It's just a masterpiece of positioning. It instantly attracts the perfect customer and, just as importantly, it repels everyone else. It says, hey, if you want flash, go somewhere else. If you want reliability, you're in the right place. And that's exactly why this is so brilliant. For a B2B audience, I'm talking about maintenance managers or factory supervisors. The wow factor is totally irrelevant. Downtime is the real enemy. A filter bag that just shows up and does its job without any drama is way more valuable than one that comes with a bunch of bells and whistles and a higher price tag. So as we wrap this up, what are the big lessons we can take away from the whole BurroAire concept? What can any brand, really, learn from this masterclass in minimalism? The whole strategy really comes down to three key things. First, you take a perceived weakness, like being slow or basic, and you turn it into a strength, like being steady and reliable. Second, you use radical honesty to build trust. And third, and this is so crucial, you speak directly to the values of your customer, not everybody else. And all this kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In a world that is just saturated with hype and noise, maybe the most disruptive marketing strategy of all is just to be honest. Maybe the ultimate competitive advantage isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, but about being the most trusted one.